I come from a family, I grew up in Alexandria, Virginia, in the Washington, D.C. area, in privilege. But I understood so deeply the stories of my family as being one of immigration, entrepreneurship, and grit. I had Italian grandparents who came to escape Mussolini, came to a small town in Western Pennsylvania, sponsored by other Italian immigrants. With few dollars to his name, my grandfather became a contractor in his own business and built in Capra-esque quality, the school, the bank, the health clinic, and understanding that this is a country that is unrivaled in its approach to upward mobility and economic opportunities. And that was part of my understanding critically about who I was in childhood. On the other side of my family was a grandfather who ran a psychiatric hospital in Western Pennsylvania. And he was not admitted to medical school in the United States because he was Jewish, and actually received a medical degree in Scotland. When he died abruptly in his early 50s, he left my grandmother with 9 children. And it's a reverse Horatio Alger story. There was riches to rags. And my father and several of my uncles were able to access education because of an endowment left by Milton Hershey. And the chocolate money, as our family says, is what actually gave our family economic opportunity. And several of my uncles paid for college. My father was a championship athlete and went to college on scholarship. But those types of understandings about mobility, entrepreneurship, scrapping, following your ideas is something that was baked into the DNA of childhood. When I was a newly minted college graduate, I found myself in with a group of people that idealistically wanted to do something about poverty in the United States. And it was the late 90s. It was early 2000s, late 90s. And it was the time when we were talking about welfare reform in the United States. And we were young and idealistic and thinking that we could do something about it. And there were these 2 student leaders in universities named Kirsten Lodel and Brian Kreider, who led a student movement to train some of us to help people in low and moderate income neighborhoods who lived in poverty to find jobs. And one of the most astonishing things, my first job out of college was helping other people find jobs. The naivete of that is apparent, but one of the lessons learned from that was that I was so young that I didn't have any cynicism yet baked into my DNA, that there was a suspension of disbelief in other people and a belief in other people's skills and talents wherever they lied. I remember that the internet was a new tool. And we were able essentially to find jobs, locate employment and economic opportunities for people who were homeless and living in public housing, and connect them to opportunity through solutions that were lying around, and through networks and social capital that we as young students that had just left university possessed. And it was seeing an individual who lived in a low and moderate income neighborhood who had never driven a car say that he wanted to see the rest of the United States, and believing in him, because I had not been trained in the cynicism of adulthood yet, that he could actually become a trained CDL certified truck driver. And accessing resources through social capital and financial capital for him to get a CDL driver's license, and receiving postcards through nearly the rest of my 20s from different states from this gentleman as he drove a commercial truck across the United States. And so it was those individual experiences in working before becoming a lawyer and realizing that an organized belief in other people and leveraging social capital and paying privilege forward could have really defining and material benefits to people around me. I went to law school to try to access more systems reform. In knowing individuals in the work that I was doing, I wanted to understand the systems that wrapped around people, and that really it engendered inequality and needed reform. I, right out of law school, clerked for a judge that was a formative player in the Mississippi Freedom Summer and the Civil Rights Movement. And here she was, a judge in a criminal court in the District of Columbia. And we were working on a criminal mental health diversion court, one of the first in the country, that was identifying the critical health needs of people who were criminally involved and had serious mental illness, and trying to better understand how to reduce recidivism and improve community health and keep people out of cycles of poverty and incarceration. And this judge saw that as a formative and crucial front in the civil rights movement. And when we saw people with serious mental illness who had not been taken into a point of entry to the healthcare system, and were finding points of entry through our court, when we saw people with serious mental illness who were connected with the supports they needed to work, we saw that that was a crucial and critical social determinant of health, and it reduced their levels of incarceration and dramatically reduced recidivism. And my takeaway was that economic participation, just like my grandfather's as an entrepreneur in this country, economic participation is a critical and crucial link to public health and to our society and to the strength of our democracy. And that landed me eventually at the front door in my career to the Civil Rights Division at the Justice Department.